The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
This morning, Kern County is still recuperating from the heavy rain and high winds that swept through the Golden Empire. It was that wicked weather that uprooted trees, caused crashes, and created dangerous hazards.
Just north of Lamont, where the streets have no drainage system, water began to flood neighborhoods. It was a mess. Crews pumped the water off the streets. There were uprooted trees, car crashes, and a closed canyon as a result of the storm. At one point, a tornado warning was even issued near Wasco, but was eventually downgraded. Forecasters are calling the system that swept through our area yesterday the most powerful storm ever recorded on the West Coast.
And while our area desperately needed the rain, its appearance left a number of local homes flooded.
Yeah, this was the scene at a neighborhood in East Bakersfield off of Lake Street next to a canal. Up to 3 feet of water just sitting in some homes, immersing floors as water spills in from the street. Residents say the drain to the canal isn't wide enough, and they say since the neighborhood is split between 3 jurisdictions, the city, county, and the state's water district, it's hard to find help.
We called the county said, hey, this is a city issue. The city employee showed up, pulled 2 or 3 pieces of trash out of the drain, said, well, there's just too much water. We've given up on my property. It's probably a total loss. But I've heard from several of the other residents that this has happened before. The city was lackluster and they had to completely rehab their property at their own expense. I've just lost a lot. I can only imagine what the people with small children have lost.
Some residents tell 17 News they've been displaced by the flooding. No word yet on how many homes were damaged by this storm. Today, the Board of Supervisors will hear public comment on preliminary maps ahead of this November's redistricting. The process will likely shift the demographics of Kern County's 5 districts and could have political implications for the next decade. 17's Chris Burton joins us in studio with more. Chris?
Well, good morning, Maddie. Normally, redistricting happens every 10 years in a county. It allows counties to adjust district boundaries to better reflect demographic representation. But November's redistricting comes just 3 years after Kern County was sued for underrepresenting its Latino population in district breakdowns. 2 of this year's 3 county-drawn draft maps, as well as 1 submitted by the Equitable Maps Coalition, create an additional majority Latino district. This would make 3 out of 5 districts contain a Latino majority, as opposed to 2 of 5 under the current district borders, reflecting recent census data showing that countywide, Kern contains a Latino majority.
What these maps are trying to reflect is, what our current population is. So again, nothing is finalized right now. Our board still has to adopt a map, and this process will be fluid.
Individual supervisors will remain the same throughout redistricting. The process could affect voting in each's next election. Supervisors serve 4-year terms, and District 2's Zach Scrivener and District 3's Mike Maggard will be up for re-election in the fall of next year. Now, the redistricting hearing is set for 2 p.m. today in the board chambers at 1115 Truxton Avenue in downtown Bakersfield. Community members can submit proposed maps at the hearing, send them to redistricting@kerncounty.org, or visit the county's website. In studio, Chris Burton, 17 News.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. In your 17 follow-up file this morning, records obtained by 17 News reveal the bizarre motive behind a shooting that left a 29-year-old man dead back in August. Javante Tervel Green was shot and killed on I Street back on August 10th. Police arrested 40-year-old Geraldine Hunt on suspicion of murder 2 days later. Hunt admits the deadly confrontation was sparked after her daughter accused Green of taking a set of spare car keys. Court records say Hunt and her daughter went to a home where Green was staying, demanding he hand over the keys. Hunt's daughter told investigators she was in her car when she heard a gunshot and saw her mother running away. Hunt admitted she fired the deadly shot out of concern for her daughter's safety. She has pleaded not guilty and is due back in court next month. The city of Delano swore in its new police chief yesterday, though not everyone is happy about the choice.
He doesn't understand the undocumented community of Delano. He has publicly said he will collaborate with ICE because it is right under the law, and that is something that the community of Delano does not agree with.
Protesters were on scene for yesterday's swearing in of Chief Tyson Davis. They say that City of Delano Council pushed through Davis's appointment with minimal input from the community, and the city manager has flat out ignored their complaints. As for Davis himself, he says he looks forward to serving the Delano community and is happy to sit down and meet with those who oppose his appointments to hear their concerns. Chief Davis retired from the Kern County Sheriff's Office last year after more than 30 years of service.
Capping our top stories this morning, wicked weather, uprooted trees caused crashes and created dangerous hazards throughout Kern County yesterday. Some residents tell 17 News they've been displaced by flooding. No word yet on how many homes were damaged by the storm. Today, the Board of Supervisors will hear public comment on preliminary maps ahead of this November's redistricting. The process will likely shift the demographics of Kern County's 5 districts and could have potential political implications for the next decade. The hearing is set for 2 p.m. in the board chambers on Truxton Avenue.
Today, an FDA panel meets to consider approving the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for use in children over the age of 5. The drug maker says its vaccine is more than 90% effective in that age group. If all goes according to plan, children could start getting their first dose early next month. NBC's Chris Pallone with the latest.
Alex, good morning. It is a moment many American parents have been waiting for, but polls show that not all parents are eager to get their children vaccinated against COVID-19. As an FDA advisory panel meets, states across the country are finalizing plans to give the Pfizer COVID vaccine to young children.
In just a few days' time, millions of parents all across the United States should be able to breathe a sigh of relief.
Nearly 30 million kids from 5 to 11 could soon become eligible. Pfizer says its 2-dose pediatric shot is more than 90% effective.
I feel like it's almost like a social responsibility to be vaccinated, because if you're not vaccinated, then there's a chance that you could pass the disease on to somebody else, maybe someone older.
But a recent poll shows only 30% of parents are planning to get their children vaccinated right away.
I think honestly a solid year of testing and people, really working out the kinks in it will do us better.
But despite the hesitancy from some,
all right, let's go make it a great day.
Doctors say vaccinating the young will keep schools open and help prevent community outbreaks.
In our system, there are 8 kids hospitalized in the ICU with COVID-19. I mean, it's just incontrovertible that this set of vaccines is effective. It is proven to be safe, much safer than the risk you run of letting your kid get COVID and rolling the dice.
A final decision could come next week. As the FDA considers approving the use of the Pfizer vaccine in young children, Moderna now says that early data shows that its vaccine produces a strong immune response in children in that age group as well. In Washington, Chris Pallone, 17 News.
And coronavirus continues spreading at an alarming rate here in Kern County, and it continues to steal more lives. Public Health reported yesterday another 4 new deaths due to the virus. Kern's death toll now stands at 1,652 lives lost. State data shows 219 people are in the hospital with more severe symptoms of the virus. 75 people are in the ICU. We also learned of another 946 people who have been infected with the virus. Now, keep in mind, those numbers are not released over the weekend, so this is the first update since Friday. However, the average number of cases is slightly increasing, although it's still too early to tell if the trend will continue. Still, a majority of people living in the county have no protection against the virus, with only 45% of people in Kern considered fully vaccinated.
5:37 is your time now. The Biden administration announced yesterday it plans to take steps to increase the availability of rapid at-home COVID-19 tests. It's part of a new $70 million program that will help manufacturers produce data needed as part of the regulatory process. Experts say the tests can be particularly helpful during what some predict may be a bad flu season. This all comes as the Biden administration is expected to finalize a rule requiring businesses with more than 100 employees to mandate vaccines for all employees or face weekly testing. Experts say at-home tests could provide or prove helpful in implementing that rule for employees who prefer regular testing instead of vaccination.
In your 17 homicide tracker this morning, a man is behind bars, arrested on suspicion of shooting and killing another man in Northwest Bakersfield. It is a story we first brought to you yesterday morning on Sunrise. Sheriff's officials say at about 2:30 Friday morning, 24-year-old Diego Soto was shot and killed in the area of Gibson Street and Marriott Drive. Homicide detectives arrested Alfredo Perez on suspicion of murder later that night. By our count, this marks our 116th homicide so far this year in Kern County.
17 Court Watch now. A Superior Court judge yesterday set a defense motion seeking to bar the public from pretrial hearings in the case of a man accused of raping and killing 13-year-old Patricia Alatorre. Will be heard next month at his arraignment. Armando Cruz was indicted by a grand jury earlier this month and is scheduled for arraignment November 4th. A gag order has been issued in the case, barring attorneys from commenting on matters other than scheduling. After confirming the motion date, Judge Charles Bremer rebuked Cruz's Los Angeles-based attorneys for their failure to attend a hearing and being unreachable on Friday, and for being late to call into yesterday's hearing. Attorney Thomas Requejo said his team planned to appear by phone and made multiple calls to the court clerk's office. The judge ordered defense counsel to appear in person for the November 4th hearing and instructed them to use the court website to let the court know if they'll be late for future hearings.
A local funeral home is paying tribute to a fallen Marine from Riverside County who was killed in the attacks in Afghanistan in August. Corporal Hunter Lopez was one of 13 U.S. service members killed in those attacks. This Friday, Basham Funeral Home says it wants the community to come together to remember the life of Lopez and the others who were killed that day. The funeral home says the sister of its former owner, John Basham, worked directly with Corporal Lopez's parents in the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. It is raising money in support of Lopez and the other fallen service members. The funeral is happening at 11 a.m. at Basham Funeral Care Chapel on Niles Street in Bakersfield. If you can't attend but would like to donate, you can visit our website, kget.com. Just search for the hot link icon.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.